I've never been the kind of guy to suspect my wife, Lisa, of cheating, at least not before. We'd been married for about 5 years, and honestly, I thought we had a good thing going. She was smart, beautiful, ambitious, and I always believed she genuinely loved me. But everything changed after my mother died. That week was a nightmare. Funerals always mess with your head, and for me, it was no different, until I started noticing little things about Lisa that didn't sit right. It started with small stuff. Her coming home late more often, saying she was working late at the office but then showing up with tired eyes and a strange, nervous energy. I'd ask her what was going on and she'd brush it off, saying she was stressed, or that her boss, Mr. Carter, was putting a lot on her plate lately. She'd always be bitchy about him, calling him a hard-ass, but I figured that was just her usual attitude towards work. Still, I couldn't shake this feeling that something was off. Then there were the texts. I'd catch her glancing at her phone when she thought I wasn't looking, quickly hiding it or turning away. Once, I saw a message from someone named Carter that read, "Can't wait to see you tonight, love you." I froze. It was late at night and she was sitting on the couch pretending to watch TV. I saw her eyes flicker down at her phone and I knew right then something was going on. But I didn't want to jump to conclusions, so I kept quiet. I mean, maybe it was just a work thing, right? Still, over the next couple of weeks, her behavior only got worse. She'd get defensive when I'd ask questions. Her excuses became more elaborate. She was tired, stressed. The boss was exerting pressure on her, and at times she blamed me for not trusting her enough. That stung, honestly. I loved her and I tried to believe her, but deep down, I was starting to feel like I was just fooling myself. I'd never been paranoid before, but this gut feeling that she was hiding something, especially after the funeral, was gnawing at me. One night, I decided to check her emails on our shared computer. I thought maybe I'd find something that would clear my head or prove my suspicions wrong. Instead, I found an email from her titled "Tonight's Plan," which was weird because she never planned anything that explicitly. When I opened it, my stomach dropped. It was a detailed message about meeting Carter at the hotel downtown, saying they'd meet after she finished her work. My heart started pounding. I couldn't believe what I was reading. My wife, Lisa, was planning to meet her boss for sex. That's when I knew for sure she wasn't just stressed or tired. This was something else entirely. I wanted to confront her right then, but I also knew I needed to think carefully. I couldn't just blow up and accuse her without proof. But how could I not? The betrayal wasn't just about the sex. It was about how she lied, manipulated, and made me doubt myself while she was out doing God knows what. I felt numb, angry, and hurt all at once. The woman I loved, the woman I married, had been cheating on me behind my back, right at the worst time in my life. And she had the nerve to lie and blame her grief for everything. That's when I started to realize this was no accident. This was her way of using me, hiding her secrets and justifying her actions with tears and excuses. I knew I had to confront her, but I didn't want to do it half-heartedly. I wanted the truth, all of it. But I also knew that no matter what she said, nothing would be the same after this. I was already questioning everything. I wasn't sure if she ever loved me or if I'd just been a cover for her real life, her secret life. The betrayal cut so deep, I didn't even recognize the man I was becoming. All I knew was I had to see this through and find out if I was just another pawn in her game or if I still had a chance to salvage whatever was left of us. That's when I started planning my next move. The night I decided to confront her, I couldn't sleep. My mind was racing, replaying everything I'd uncovered. I kept asking myself, how long has this been going on? Was it just the one time I found out about, or was there more? The idea that she had been lying to me for months, possibly even years, made my stomach turn. It wasn't just the betrayal, it was the sheer level of deception and the fact that she'd been so good at hiding it. I knew I couldn't just storm into the bedroom and accuse her without evidence, but I also couldn't keep pretending everything was fine. Early the next morning, I decided to get some actual proof, something concrete I could hold over her head. I remembered the hotel email and thought, maybe I could set a trap. I bought a cheap voice recorder, figuring I'd leave it somewhere in the room, just to see if I could catch her talking to him or revealing anything incriminating. I also moved my phone into the bedroom, just in case she checked her messages or made a call. I needed to be ready for whatever she threw at me. That afternoon, she came home from work looking flustered. Her makeup was smudged, her hair slightly out of place, and she avoided eye contact. She'd been like that for a few days now, on edge, irritable, snapping at me over small things. I knew she was hiding something, and I was determined to get it out of her that night. I waited until she was in the shower, then I slipped the recorder into her purse. I also left my phone on the bedside table, recording everything that happened next. When she got out of the shower, she looked at me with that fake smile that I'd learned to recognize as her "I'm hiding something" face. I asked her how her day was, and she shrugged. Then, out of nowhere, she started with her usual bullshit, complaining about her boss, saying he was a control freak, and how she hated her job lately. I played it cool, but inside I was just waiting. I wanted her to slip up, say something, anything that I could use. She was acting strangely, bouncing between casual and defensive. Then she got a text. I saw her glance at her phone and quickly put it down. I didn't need to see the message, her reaction told me enough. Her hand trembled slightly and her eyes darted around. That was the moment I knew I was right. I reached for her purse, pretending to check my phone, and I grabbed the recorder. I wanted to see what she'd say when she thought she was alone. As the evening went on, she kept brushing past me, acting like I was invisible. She kept making excuses for her behavior, saying she was stressed, tired, overwhelmed, but I wasn't buying it anymore. I was already emotionally drained, but I knew I had to push further. I kept asking her questions, probing, waiting for her to reveal her true face. And then, just as I suspected, she slipped. She got a call from her boss, Carter. I heard her answer in a sweet, almost mocking tone. "Hey, Carter. Yeah, I'm free tonight. I'll see you at the hotel around 8. I couldn't believe it. She was planning to meet him, and she didn't even bother to hide it anymore. I pressed record even harder, knowing this was it. I had everything I needed now. The most gut-wrenching part was how she lied to my face after that. She came over, sat next to me, and said, "You're overthinking things, Jason. You always do. Carter's just a boss, and I was telling him about my work stress. That's all." She looked at me with those icy eyes, and I could see she was good at lying. But her voice was shaky, her smile forced. She was trying to convince herself, or maybe just me, that she wasn't cheating. I felt my chest tighten in a mix of rage, sadness, and disbelief. How could someone I loved so much be capable of this? Did she ever love me, or was I just her cover-up? I kept thinking about all the nights I stayed up, working late, sacrificing my time and my feelings while she was out with him. It made me question everything: her words, her love, her loyalty. That night, I finally decided I'd had enough. I had the proof I needed, and I knew I couldn't keep pretending that everything was okay. I was angry at her, sure, but more than that, I was crushed. I trusted her for years, and she'd just thrown it all away for a quick fuck with her boss. I wanted to scream. I wanted to break something, but I knew I had to stay calm, at least for now. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I sat by the window, staring out into the dark, trying to process what I'd uncovered. The betrayal wasn't just about the sex. It was about how cold and manipulative she'd become. She lied so effortlessly, like it was just another day at work. That's when I realized I had a choice. I could either forgive her and pretend it never happened, or I could finally stand up for myself and walk away. The thought of her lying and blaming grief just made me angrier. Did she ever care? Or was I just a safe little hiding place for her secrets? That's where I am now. I've got the evidence, I've seen her true colors, and I've decided I won't be the fool anymore. But I'm still hurting, still trying to figure out if I ever really knew her at all. The confrontation was inevitable, and I knew it. I couldn't keep pretending I didn't know the truth. That night, I waited until she was in bed, her breathing slow and even, probably exhausted from her lies, her guilt, or maybe just because she thought I was still clueless. I sat there for a moment, staring at her, trying to find the right words, but honestly, I was just furious. The kind of furious that makes it hard to breathe. I finally turned on the lamp and she woke up. Her eyes flickered with surprise, then quickly hardened into that bitchy, defensive glare she always had when she was cornered. "What are you doing?" she asked, her voice cold. I didn't say anything at first. I just pulled out the voice recorder and played the clip of her planning to meet Carter at the hotel. Her face instantly shut down. She sat up furious, scoffing like I was the crazy one. "You're stalking me now," she snapped, her voice dripping with disdain. "You're just paranoid, Jason. You always jump to conclusions. Maybe you're the one with the problem, not me." Her words stung, but I was past caring about her denial. I kept the recorder playing, watching her squirm. She got defensive quick, throwing out all kinds of lies. "It's nothing, just work stress," she said. "Carter's just my boss. He's a decent guy. You're making a mountain out of a molehill." Her voice was high-pitched, her tone bitchy, like she was trying to dismiss everything, make me seem crazy. But I could see her eyes flickering with guilt and anger. She was just pretending to be innocent, but I knew her game now. I asked her directly, "Did you sleep with him, Lisa?" Her face froze for a second, then she rolled her eyes. "Oh, please, you're ridiculous. I don't have to answer that. I don't owe you anything." She tried to act like I was overreacting, but her voice cracked just a little, giving her away. You could tell she knew she'd been caught, even if she didn't want to admit it outright. That's when the bitchiness really came out. She spat. "You're just jealous because I have a life, Jason. Unlike you, I actually do things. Maybe if you weren't so insecure, you'd see that I'm a damn good wife. But no, you always have to be suspicious, accuse me of everything. That's probably why I needed someone else's sex, because you're so damn boring." Her words hit me like a punch in the gut. I felt the sting of her blaming me, turning everything around, making it my fault she cheated. I lost my temper then. I told her she was disgusting, that I couldn't believe I'd wasted years with someone who lied so effortlessly, who used me as a cover for her other life. I told her I knew she never loved me, that she only used me to hide her secrets and her shame. That's when she started crying, but not because she was sorry. No, it was that fake, manipulative crying she always did when she knew she was losing control. She kept insisting she was stressed, that it didn't mean anything, that I was just being paranoid. I stood there watching her, feeling an overwhelming mix of disgust, heartbreak, and rage. All those little signs, all those hidden texts, all those late nights, and I'd been blind. I'd been so blind because I wanted to believe she cared, that she loved me. But I was just a placeholder to her, some guy who was supposed to be there, who she could lie to, manipulate, and use to cover her shame. The woman I married had become a stranger, a liar, a bitch who only cared about her own secrets. I finally told her I wanted her gone. I said I couldn't live with this betrayal, not anymore. That I deserved better, that I didn't want to be her fool. She looked at me with that same bitchy smile, like she thought she was winning, like she'd convinced me somehow that it was all my fault, but I knew better. I knew I had to walk away, not just from her, but from the person I thought I knew. That night when she left the house, I sat alone in the dark, feeling more hollow than I ever had before. I never felt so betrayed, so stupid. All those years pretending she loved me, trusting her with my life, turns out she'd been using me as a cover-up for her own selfish, manipulative game. And I wondered, did she ever love me? Or was I just a tool, a safe place for her secrets? You start to question everything in those moments. The love, the trust, the memories, all of it feels like a lie now. I don't know if she ever loved me or if I was just convenient. All I know is I'm done being the fool. And from now on, I'll be more careful about who I trust, because I've learned the hard way that some people are only in your life for their own reasons. After she left that night, I thought I'd feel relief, but honestly, I just felt numb. The house was eerily quiet, like the walls were soaking up all the pain I didn't want to admit I was feeling. I stayed up for hours, staring at the ceiling, replaying everything I'd uncovered, every harsh word exchanged, every lie she told to cover her tracks. It was like a blow to my chest, and I realized I'd been living in a lie for so long that I didn't even know who I was anymore. That morning, I woke up feeling hollow. The house was empty, cold, and I had this overwhelming urge to do something, anything, to regain some sense of control. I started sifting through her stuff, looking for more evidence, more signs of her deception. I found her diary hidden in a drawer, and I hesitated before opening it. Part of me didn't want to read her secrets, but another part needed to understand what her mind had been like. I was desperate for closure, even if it hurt. What I read confirmed my worst fears. She had been planning her affair for months, meticulously hiding it behind her stress and work. She wrote about Carter, how he made her feel alive, wanted, powerful, like she was finally getting what she deserved after all the years of being boring and stuck in a rut. Reading her words, I realized she had used me as her safety net, her cover-up, while she chased something else, something she thought she wanted. I was just a pit stop in her game. It hurt like hell. Not just the betrayal, but the realization that I'd been so blind, so desperate to hold onto the hope that she loved me. I started questioning everything. Was I ever enough? Was I ever really loved? Or was I just a placeholder in her life until she found someone better? That thought haunted me. I felt like I was drowning in a sea of my own sadness, but at the same time, a strange sense of clarity was starting to emerge. I knew I couldn't fix this, not really. She made her choice, and I had to accept that. I told myself I'd do whatever it took to move on, to heal, even if it meant starting over from scratch. I packed her things and told her to get out. I didn't want her to be near me anymore, not so she could manipulate me or lie to my face again. I wanted distance. I wanted some shred of dignity back. But it wasn't just about her leaving. It was about me reclaiming my life. I realized that I'd spent too long trying to be the good husband, the understanding guy, the one who believed in her, even when everything inside me screamed that she was lying, cheating, using me. I'd let her take all of that from me, and I knew I had to change. I needed to be stronger, to stop trusting so blindly, even if it meant being alone for a while. That day I made a decision. I would not let her betrayal define me. I would take this pain and turn it into something stronger. I started looking into therapy, trying to understand how I ended up here and what I could do to rebuild my self-esteem. I also began to realize that I'd been using my love for her as a shield, and now I needed to focus on loving myself again. It wasn't easy. The hurt was raw, and I kept asking myself if I'd ever be able to trust anyone again. But deep down, I knew I had to try. In the meantime, I reached out to my friends, to anyone who would listen, just get some perspective. Most of them told me to cut her loose for good, to forget about her, and to focus on healing. Honestly, I didn't know if I was ready for that yet, but I knew they were right. I had to stop being the fool she had turned me into. The biggest lesson I learned so far was that love isn't supposed to feel this way, this betrayed, this broken. If someone really loves you, they wouldn't cheat on you during your mother's funeral. They wouldn't lie to your face and blame grief for their actions. I still have a lot of anger, a lot of sadness, and honestly, a lot of questions. But I also feel a flicker of hope. Hope that someday I'll find someone who truly cares, who is honest and loyal, not just in words but in actions. I've learned that sometimes the cost of betrayal is more than just heartbreak. It's a wake-up call to take care of yourself, to know your worth. That's what I'm trying to do now, even if it's just one small step at a time. The weeks that followed were the hardest I've ever gone through. Every day felt like a test of my patience, my strength, my ability to move forward. I kept replaying everything she said, everything she did, and I kept asking myself if I ever truly knew her. Deep inside, I knew the answer was no. I'd been blind, fooling myself into believing she was the woman I married, the woman I loved. But the truth was, she had been hiding a different life from me, one filled with lies, sex, and manipulation. I threw myself into work and trying to rebuild some sense of normalcy. But the pain was always lurking beneath the surface. I'd see something small, a text message, a look, a gesture, and it would hit me all over again. That deep, aching feeling that I'd been used, that I'd loved a stranger, a liar. It made me question everything. Did she ever love me, or was I just convenient, a safe place for her to hide her secrets? These questions haunted me, but I knew I couldn't stay stuck in that place forever. One day, I decided I needed closure, not just the emotional kind, but the real kind. I reached out to her, told her I wanted to talk. She agreed to meet, but only because she thought she could manipulate me again, make me believe she was sorry or that she'd change. I wasn't buying it. I told her I had evidence, that I knew everything about the affair, about her plans to see Carter, that I knew she'd been lying to me for months, maybe longer. She scoffed when I told her I knew. "Oh, please," she said, rolling her eyes. "You're overreacting. Carter's just a boss. It's not what you think. You're just jealous and insecure." That bitchy tone, that dismissive attitude, it made my blood boil. She was trying to make me feel crazy, trying to spin it so I doubt myself, But I wasn't falling for that. I was done doubting, done playing her game. I handed her the evidence, screenshots of her emails, the recordings, the texts. Her face twisted with anger and disbelief. She tried to deny everything, but I'd seen enough. The truth was staring her right in the face. I told her I was done. That I wanted her gone, that I was done being the fool in her game. I told her I deserved better, that I was done pretending she loved me when she was out screwing her boss. Her reaction was classic Lisa. She got bitchy, defensive, and then cruel. She told me I was just jealous because I couldn't compete with Carter, that I was boring and insecure. She said I was the reason she cheated, that I pushed her away, that she only did this because she was unhappy and I was just too blind to see it. I stared at her, feeling a mixture of disgust and pity. She could lie all she wanted, but her eyes told a different story: guilt, manipulation, and a deep-rooted need to make everything my fault. I told her I wanted her out of my life, that I didn't want her anymore. She snapped back, hurling insults, trying to guilt-trip me, but I was beyond caring. The damage was done. I realized that I'd been living in a nightmare, and I was finally waking up. I knew that walking away was the only choice left. I was tired of being her cover-up, tired of being used, tired of questioning whether she ever loved me. That moment, as she packed her things and left, I felt nothing but relief and sadness at the same time. I knew I was losing someone I once thought was my everything, but I also knew I was gaining a chance to rebuild who I was. The pain still lingered, but I was starting to see a way out, a way to reclaim my life and my dignity. I'd been betrayed in the worst way, yes, but I was also finally free from her lies, her manipulation, and her bitchy, selfish attitude. Now I'm focusing on healing. I've started therapy, talking about everything: my feelings, my fears, my anger. I've also been leaning on friends, trying to remember what it means to trust again. It's not easy. The betrayal left scars I don't think will ever fully heal. But I'm learning that I am not defined by her lies or her betrayal. I am worth more than the pain she caused me. And someday, I believe I'll find someone who truly cares, who won't use me or lie to my face. For anyone out there going through something similar, my advice is this: don't ignore the signs, and don't stay just because you're afraid of being alone. It's better to face the truth and heal than to keep living in a lie. Trust your gut, and never forget your worth. That's the only way to truly move on. The final chapter in this mess is still unfolding for me, but I can honestly say I've come a long way from where I was a few months ago. The house is quiet now, and I finally feel like I've taken back some control over my life. The betrayal cut deep, and it's left scars, but I refuse to let it define me. I've learned things I never thought I would, about trust, about love, and most importantly, about myself. Living through her lies was like walking through a minefield. I kept telling myself I was the idiot for not seeing it coming, but deep down, I know it wasn't just about me being blind. It was about her choosing to be selfish, choosing her secrets over the truth over us. And that realization made me angry, yes, but also determined. I refuse to be a victim anymore. Instead, I see this as a lesson, harsh, painful, but necessary. Now I focus on rebuilding my life. I've started to reconnect with old friends, and I've been going to therapy to process everything. It's not easy. Some days are still tough. I catch myself thinking about her, wondering if she's miserable, if she regrets what she's done. But I also remind myself that I deserve better. I deserve honesty, loyalty, and someone who loves me for who I am, not just someone I used to be. I've become more cautious, more aware. I don't jump into anything new yet, but I'm slowly healing. I've realized that I don't need her or her lies to be happy. I can find happiness on my own, piece by piece. It's about forgiving myself for trusting too much, and forgiving her for not having the decency to be honest from the start. Looking back, I see how much I've grown, even through the pain. I've learned to stand up for myself, to recognize red flags sooner, and most importantly, to never settle for less than I deserve. I've lost someone I loved, yes, but I've gained clarity about what I want and what I will never accept again. So to anyone out there feeling broken, betrayed, or lost, know that it gets better. The pain might never fully go away, but it does fade. Time helps, but so does taking care of yourself. Don't let anyone make you believe you're worthless because they couldn't keep their promises. You are worth so much more. Love isn't about hiding secrets or lying. It's about trust, respect, and genuine loyalty. And if someone can't give you that, walk away. Because in the end, you're the only one who can truly choose to heal and move on. And I'm doing just that.